Barzal holds, backhand shot. He missed, and then Bailey scores! Islanders win! Here is Eberle moving in. He scores! And now a 2-on-1 for the Islanders. Nelson shoots. He scores! And the Islanders have taken a 3-0 lead.
This Islander team is for real.
Live from Studio 3K in Rockefeller Center, you're watching Sports Final on NBC for New York. Here's your host, Bruce Beck.
How about those Islanders? They've won 3 straight from the Penguins in their first round series. They go for the sweep Tuesday night in Pittsburgh. And joining us in the studio is the Islanders color commentator on MSG Network's Butch Goring. He owns 4 Stanley Cup rings and was the Conn Smythe winner as playoff MVP in 1981 for the Islanders. And we invite you to get out your devices and go to NBCNewYork.com/soundoff to play along with Butch and me during our interactive sound-off segment in just a few minutes. Butch, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here again.
Did you see this coming? Tell me the truth.
No, I did not. I don't know if anybody saw it coming. That's for sure. I mean, everybody expected the Islanders to be very, very competitive in the playoffs. I mean, they were solid all season long, but to be up 3-0 at this stage, no.
The 4-1 victory today, it came after they fell behind, but only for about 28 seconds, and then they got those 2 goals quickly in 62 seconds, and it was no looking back, was it?
No, it really wasn't, Bruce. And this is a team that's done this all season long. In fact, the coach has talked about this on a number of occasions, that it doesn't matter if they score the first goal. They're just a confident group. They just go about their business, and it almost seems to motivate them when they give up that first goal, and they bounce right back. And then once they get it, they get a little bit more hungry. They played an awful good game that today. They forced Pittsburgh into a lot of mistakes, as we saw the Islanders with a couple of odd man rushes, a great finish by Brock Nelson. But this is a team that I think they just love the fact that people say they're not good, and they just take it right to heart, and they continue to play hard.
And Barzal doesn't have any goals yet, but he's doing so many other things well, isn't he?
Well, Matt Barzal has been a project for Barry Trotz all season long. I mean, he's talked about him being a talented hockey player, but he wants him to be a professional hockey player. And you've heard the expression, play that 200-foot game. So it's been an ongoing, let's say, workshop for both Barzal and Barry Trotz. And you can see now the fruit's starting to get pretty ripe, because he's been unbelievable. He just really, the last 20 games of the season, he just took off, and all of a sudden he was a different player. He was driving to the net, Bruce, shooting the puck more, and he's upped it again in the playoffs. And Barry Trotz said, you've got to up your game each time you play another playoff game, and Barzal is listening and paying attention.
Did Jordan Eberle pick the right time to become a free agent?
Yeah, well, he didn't have a great season. I mean, he ended up scoring 19 goals, but there was times when he wasn't getting as much done offensively. But certainly over his last 10, 15 games and the playoffs, that's what they expected certainly from Jordan Eberle, is that ability to score big goals. And obviously he sees this as an opportunity to sort of maybe push his value just a little bit more. You don't have to be a great regular season player if you can be a great playoff player.
I think there's no bigger goal in this series than the Josh Bailey score in OT in Game 1. It changes the whole complexion of the series.
Well, it really does. If you're down a game and you kind of lost home ice advantage, there's a big difference there. He thought he scored in this play. I asked him about it. He said, I thought this was going to be a goal and we were going to win it in regulation. And then I asked him about the overtime goal, Bruce. He said, you know what? If it wasn't a long change, I would have gone off the ice. But since I couldn't get to the bench, I decided to follow the play all the way up the ice, and lo and behold, there comes a loose puck, and I ended up getting an overtime goal. So he was obviously thrilled that he made the right decision. But no doubt about it, if the Penguins find a way to win that first game, who knows where this series would be. They didn't do it, and the Islanders gained a little momentum.
How about Robin Lehner? He stopped 57 of 59 shots over the last 2 games. He has looked sharp.
He's been relishing the opportunity to play in the playoffs, and he hasn't really been a starter, at any time in his career. So this has been a tremendous opportunity for him, and he's seizing the moment. There's Barry Trotz was very careful about who was going to be his number 1 goaltender. Both Thomas Greiss and Robert Leonard play all season long, and they both played equally well. They've been fantastic. But all of a sudden, Robin Leonard emerged himself in the latter part of the season, and boy, oh boy, is he ever stymieing the Pittsburgh team. And he's in a groove. He said the other day, I'm seeing it really well. Yeah, he's seeing it. He's reacting, and he's getting great support from his teammates. So, yes, Pittsburgh's struggling to score goals.
What a turnaround from last year to this year. The Islanders gave up 296 goals last year. They were worst in the league. This year, 196. That's 100 difference, and they're best in the league.
Well, you know who did that also way long time ago?
No.
Al Arbor in his first season. 100 goals difference. So Barry's on the right track because we know the success that Al Arbor had during his career as a coach. But it's amazing. I mean, it's unfathomable, really, when you think about it, that a team is badly as they played in their own zone and gave up as many goals to have that kind of turnaround. But I think the amazing thing is Barry Trotz, right from the opening get-go, said, hey, we are going to make some changes. We are going to keep the puck out of our net. And it was an ongoing process, if you will, that Barry Trotz, game in, game out, continued to build on his team's play.
And showed structure.
Exactly, structure.
That's a great hockey word.
It really is. And, you know, I laugh at him all the time because he says, I don't worry about the results. I worry about the process. If this team is doing the right things, then the results will be proper.
The process here of stopping Sidney Crosby has yielded good results.
It really has, and it's been a gang of players. It hasn't been one guy. I mean, today we watched Brock Nelson surround Sidney Crosby, but it's been everybody. I mean, I'm watching the back pressure, so Sidney Crosby's not having the time and the space that he would normally get. The defense have played him very, very hard, and the forwards, when they've had an opportunity, have also played him very, very physical. You can just see right here, he's got no time, no space, and guys like Brock Nelson or whoever it might be just are sticking right with him. They're just not allowing him to be who he needs to be or who he wants to be. And yes, physical play every once in a while. So yes, he's a very frustrated individual because he's used to having things his own way, but the Islanders have done a masterful job of what I call gang tackling on Sidney Crosby.
Trotz has coached against him 22 times in the playoffs. I think that bodes well for him and his team. It's time now to get out your smartphones and tablets and go to NBCNewYork.com/soundoff. This week's Sound Off is brought to you by DraftKings. Get an instant $500 free bet from the #1 mobile sportsbook in New Jersey. Butch, you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, here we go. Question number 1. Will the Isles complete the sweep on Tuesday night in the Steel City? Yes or no, and why in 30 seconds?
I'm going to say yes because I really feel that they've got Pittsburgh going in the wrong direction. Pittsburgh has not been able to really find their rhythm out there, so the Islanders have done a tremendous job of just forcing them to play the Islander game. Pittsburgh wants to play this fast, up-tempo, a lot of offensive opportunities, and the Islanders have said, no, we're not going to play that way. We're going to play this close, tight-knit, grinding kind of game, force you to go 200 feet every time to get an offensive thrust.
Question number 2. Should the Islanders advance, where would you rather play in the second round, Nassau Coliseum or Barclays Center? We know they're playing at Barclays Center.
Yeah, great. Both of them have great venues, but for me, it's the Coliseum. Why? Because the Islanders. The barn. Well, you know what? The Islanders back in the early '80s, as you well know, had an awful lot of success back there, and the fans are really into it. I mean, they're out in the parking lots, they're getting themselves ready, and the atmosphere is just unbelievable. And Barry Trotz has said all along that it's worth 6 or 7 wins during the entire season. So the fans have been out in full force. They've been able to lift up the Islanders when they've sagged a little bit here and there, which hasn't happened all that often in these first 3 games. So I think it's an easy call.
You're on your way to Pittsburgh. Safe travels, my friend. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Bruce.
That's Islanders television analyst Butch Goring of MSG Networks. He and Brendan Burke are a great listen. Butch won the Lady Byng Trophy and the Bill Masterton Trophy during his 16 NHL seasons. He also scored 38 playoff goals while hoisting the Stanley Cup on 4 occasions. And don't forget, the networks of NBC are your home for the Stanley Cup playoffs. We've got you covered until Lord Stanley's Cup is hoisted in June. There's nothing like the Stanley Cup playoffs, only on NBC.